Hey guys, it's Apex back here again, giving you some picks for the 2-game slate on September 8th. Tonight was a rough night. A lot of the Raptors guys busted due to the blowout, and screwed up some of my value. So we're gonna get it back on track with tomorrow's slate. I'm gonna give you the best picks of the day, some value I like. I think there's a lot more value on today's slate than there have been in the recent ones. So we'll get into that. We'll go through all the positions groups, and I'm going to set you guys up for success tomorrow. So let's go. Let's start with point guard here. LeBron James is questionable. Don't worry about it. He'll play tomorrow. It's nothing to worry about. The last 2 games against Houston, LeBron has been fairly productive. Almost put up a triple-double in the last one. But in a fast-paced game against the small ball Rockets, LeBron's a really good play. Sure, his price jumped up to 11.2, so it's maybe a little bit harder to get there. But I think with the value, some of the value, it is possible on this slate. James Harden finally saw a price bump down after multiple games of underachieving. Russell Westbrook's back. He's not going to get the typical usage that he had with Russell Westbrook out. He hasn't been putting up the rebounding numbers late, which is a concern and really limits his upside. James Harden is going to be pretty low owned on this slate. I probably won't be getting there, but if you're looking for a way to get contrarian up top, James Harden is definitely an option. Russell Westbrook, his price keeps dropping. I think he was 50% owned on the last slate he was on and really underperformed. He's turning the ball over at such a high rate. It's just frustrating. He played 33 minutes in a close game. You're not going to get him shooting 4 for 15 again. He's going to have a better game from that. I'd probably give him like 40 to 45 fantasy points is reasonable. Russell Westbrook's going to bounce back here eventually. Right now he's playing super inefficient. 8.4 is a very affordable price for Russell Westbrook. He's typically around the 10K range, so he's a big interest on the slate. We'll go down to Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic has been playing huge minutes. So at the beginning of the playoffs and like regular season, he's playing like 28 minutes a game. Now Dragic is playing like 34 to 40 minutes a game. He's very consistent. I think, he's been putting up at least 30 fantasy points on all the games to date. So he's a very consistent player. Maybe part of your cash game lineups. He's going to do it all. He can get rebounds, assists, points. He's maybe not going to blow the doors off with the 50-point game, but he's definitely a solid option on the Miami Heat, especially with their balanced attack. It's kind of hard to pay super high up for like a Bam or Jimmy because scoring can go elsewhere super easily for that team. Eric Bledsoe is an interesting option. 6'2", big price bump from the last slate, but Eric Bledsoe played 40 minutes against Miami in the last one, and that's without Giannis. Obviously, that's a big key to this slate. But if Eric Bledsoe plays 40 minutes again, you need to plug him into your lineup. He's used to playing around 30 minutes a game, 25 to 30 minutes a game. So if he gets 40 minutes, he's basically almost doubling his fantasy point upside. So you're going to see from his normal 27 or 28 fantasy points per game, that's going to see a bump to like this 37 average right here. That's going to be normal if he's playing 40 minutes. He can put it up. He doesn't need to score, and he can still put up value. So Eric Bledsoe is a really solid play on this slate. We'll get down to George Hill. George Hill is playing big minutes with Giannis out too, and at 4.4, he is a great value option. I think a lot of these Bucks guys are really good value options if Giannis sits. And to be honest with you, I don't see a Giannis playing because of how bad that ankle injury is. He couldn't come back in the last one, which isn't a good sign. I think we're going to see at least one more game without Giannis. I could be wrong. But if he sits, George Hill's a really solid option at 4.4 because he's going to see the minutes. Not a high fantasy point per minute guy, but he can definitely hit that 4.4 salary with the amount of minutes he plays. Rajon Rondo, another option I really like. They say he's on a minutes limit. He played 29 minutes in the last one. Rondo's a guy, he doesn't shoot well, but he's a really good passer. 9 assists in the last one in 29 minutes. He had 5 steals, which is definitely an outlier. He's probably not going to get anywhere near that this next time. But yeah, I think Rondo's a really good play. I think you could see probably 20 to 25 fantasy points in his minutes as he plays, and that will definitely get you there at the 3.9 price tag and allow you to get to higher price guys up top. Alex Caruso, he's seeing around, he saw 26 minutes in a close game. I'd way rather get to Rondo. I'm sure the field will agree, and Rondo will be a lot higher owned than Caruso. I just think he's got higher upside, so I'd be going to Rondo over Caruso. Dante DiVincenzo, really good play if Giannis sits. He's at 3.5. He can definitely hit that price tag. Dante's a guy, he's not going to see the highest usage rates on the floor, but if he's playing 27 minutes a game at 3.5, definitely something you can get to and allow yourself to pay up elsewhere. Kendrick Nunn I won't be getting to. He's only getting like 10 minutes, average of 10 minutes a game this series. Austin Rivers, no. Yeah, that kind of does it for point guard. We'll move on to shooting guard. James Harden, we already talked about. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's super inconsistent. So Jimmy Butler can take a backseat offensively just due to how balanced the Heat attack is. So even if he has a great game and plays good defense, he can still take a backseat and only score 30 fantasy points. That's really risky. If you're paying 8.5 for a guy, I think there's guys with higher floors at that price range. And while he has shown the upside twice in this series to put up 50, I would just go with other plays on this slate unless the ownership comes in super low on Jimmy Butler. Eric Gordon at 5.9. You know what you're going to get with Eric Gordon. He's going to get you 20 points a game. He doesn't put up many peripheral stats, so the outcomes for Eric Gordon probably ranges from like 25 to 35 fantasy points a game for you. It's not a sexy play for sure. There's other options on the Rockets that they can go to for scoring. So at 5.9, it's definitely doable, but I think I can find some better options in that range or pay up and pay down for other guys. Tyler HERRO at 5.3. He's also questionable. I would expect him to play. Yeah, chances are he'll be cleared to play. He's playing around 30 minutes in this series. Unlike Duncan Robinson, HERRO's a guy who can put up some peripheral stats, as we've seen a few rebounds and a few assists in every single game this series. HERRO, I don't know. He's an option. I just think it'd be better to probably pay down at shooting guard so you can get to higher price guys. I'm a big fan of the Stars and Scrubs build on today's slate, so I don't know if I would be getting to too much HERRO. Duncan Robinson went off in the last game. He dropped 20, hit 6 for 12 on his three-pointers. This is your upside game. He played 39 minutes, which is huge. He's only been playing 25 to 30 in the whole rest of the series. So Duncan shot really well, and that kept him on the floor. 35 is the ceiling. And I think at 4.7, you can probably have higher, maybe not higher ceiling guys at that price point, but definitely higher floor guys. So Duncan's an option. I don't think he's a top option on this slate. Danny Green, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get 30 minutes, 15 to 20 fantasy points. He doesn't do much on the offensive end. He kind of just stands in the corner and shoots threes, and he's out there for his defense. So I'm not a huge fan of Danny Green. I think you can go elsewhere. Caruso, we talked about. KCP, he's kind of like Danny Green too. He's going to play 25 to 30 minutes. If he hits his threes, he's going to hit value. If he doesn't, he's not going to get you there because he doesn't put up anything else besides points. So I'd rather get to DiVincenzo at this price range than I would Caldwell Pope. Dante, we talked about. I really like him. Wes Matthews, he's really scoring dependent. So if he doesn't hit his threes, or if he's not getting the shots, he's not going to get you there. I'm not going to put him in my lineups. That kind of does it for shooting guard. We'll move on to small forward. Khris Middleton, 48 minutes in the last game. He played 48 minutes. Sure, it was an overtime game, so he got the extra 5 minutes at the end. So he's on track for 43. But without Giannis, his usage rating spiked. We can look at it here. Let's see. Khris Middleton. Usage rating went up to 35% with Giannis out. Like, Khris Middleton is their go-to option on offense. They don't have too many other players who can take over. Middleton can also get you in rebounds and assists. So I think if Giannis is out, you have to plug Khris Middleton in your lineup just because of how many minutes he's going to get if Milwaukee is going to stay competitive in this game. And if they stay competitive, Middleton's going to have a huge game. Jimmy Butler, I'd rather get to Middleton. Same price point. Roko's price, I think it keeps rising, and he's had 2 not stellar games in the last 2 games. He's still playing big minutes. He's definitely an option. He's usually going to get you a couple more boards than 3. Roko's an option. Not my favorite, but I think you can definitely get him in your lineups. Kuzma is an interesting dart throw. The problem with Kuzma is the minutes, obviously. You'd think you'd see a spike with minutes with Kuzma in a Rockets series where they run small ball, but we really haven't been seeing that. Thankfully, he shot better in the last game, so that's maybe a sign of him getting more minutes in the next one. But it's kind of hard to predict with Kuzma. If you're in a large field GPP, you can definitely take a shot on Kuzma. It's definitely not something you're going to be excited about. But if you're looking to get that extra edge on a lower owned player, Kuzma is a viable option for that. Duncan we talked about. Danny we talked about. Daniel House, I think he's going to go pretty low owned. The last 4, he's got you 24, 7, 16, 23. So I think a likely outcome for Daniel House, based on his recent games, he's going to play like 23 minutes. He's probably going to get like 15 to 20 fantasy points. Well, that would have been decent on like days previous slates. I don't think it's great on this one. I think there's other value options that you can get to. But if you're doing stars and scrubs and you need to fit one more scrub in your lineup, House could definitely be an option. IGUODALA, I just don't think I'm gonna get there. He's so low usage and he does absolutely nothing on the offensive end. The most shots he's taken in the last like 10 games is 4. So like your upside is limited if you have a guy that only takes 4 shots. He scored 21 in this one, but that's because he had 4 steals. That's an outlier. That's not gonna happen again. So Iggy's a guy that's probably gonna put up like 10 fantasy points. I'm not too interested in him. Let's see, Pat Connaughton, how did he do without Giannis? He played 13 minutes. Yeah, there's definitely other Bucks guys that are going to benefit more from Giannis not playing. That wraps it up for small forward. Let's move on to power forward. Giannis, this is the key to today's slate. He's listed as questionable. His ankle's not looking good, and he's very dependent on his athleticism to score. He's not a shooter. We all know that. So he's got to get to the rim. He's got to use an explosive to get there. If he can't explode off his ankle, he's not going to do well. He's going to have to give up some of his offense to Khris Middleton and other guys. So if he plays, I'm not going to play him. And it also really hurts the Bucks' value guys if he plays, because he's probably going to get decent minutes, and a lot of value is going to be washed away. Anthony Davis at 10-6. I played Anthony Davis the other day, and I got the notification that he left the game, which haunts me, because there's at least 5 days where I've played Anthony Davis and he went to the locker room and never came back. Like, it is definitely a possible outcome for Anthony Davis. I feel like it happens like 10% of the time. So we gotta watch the finger. I'm sure he'll play. There's a little risk because of that, but I wouldn't get too worked up about it. He's got high upside, especially against the Rockets. He's being guarded by PJ Tucker, who's what, 3 inches shorter than him. Anthony Davis is a great big man. He's gonna dominate. Last 2 games, he's taken 24 and 16 shots, 10 rebounds, 34 points. Like, Anthony Davis can take control of this game very easily, and I'd probably rather get to Anthony Davis than LeBron on this slate. For $400 price down from LeBron as well. Jay Crowder at 5'8" now. So a couple weeks ago, Jay Crowder was sitting at like 3'9". Now he's up to 5'8". He's gonna play big minutes. I think he got in foul trouble in the last one, so he lost a few minutes. But with 34, 36, 35 minutes, I think he's probably going to get you this 30 to 35 range of fantasy points. And, I mean, that's solid for 5'8". I don't think his ceiling is much higher than 35. But it could definitely get you there. Kuzma, we talked about House. Marvin Williams. He's going to see... He didn't actually see a minute spike with Giannis out. Marvin's been putting up around 12 to 18 points a game in this series. I'd rather go to DiVincenzo, George Hill, those other Bucks value guys instead of Marvin. He just kind of sits back offensively, so he doesn't have the upside that those guys do. Markieff Morris played 23 in the last one, 16 and 5. I don't think it's going to happen again. Very productive day for him. He shot the ball way more than he usually does. Was super efficient on the offensive end. I won't be getting there, but like I said, stars and scrubs build today. He's probably one of the top scrubs that you can put in your lineup, especially with that high performance. If he puts that up again, he's probably going to be in the GPP winning lineup. Like, that's a great value for someone at 3.5. So definitely keep your eye on Markieff Morris. Kelly O. He's playing like 10 minutes a game. He's a high fantasy point per minute guy, but he's not getting the minutes. So I wouldn't play Kelly O. He's just, until I can see a minutes bump on him, he's not going to really pay off his salary. Yeah, the rest of these guys don't really play. Does it for power forward. Bam at 8.7. So Bam's an interesting one. Bam can do it on just about every facet of the game. He's getting a lot of boards. Like in this series, 17, 9, 16, 12. What's that? Average of like 13 boards a game. He's got 8 assists in the last one, scored 26 points. Keep in mind, this is without Giannis defending the paint. So if Giannis doesn't play, I actually see a huge boost to Bam just because Giannis isn't in there to defend the paint, and I think Bam's going to be more willing to take more shots with Giannis out of the lineup. So Bam's probably my favorite Heat guy on today's slate. Him and Dragic are guys that I'm probably going to get to. Bam especially if Giannis is out. Brook Lopez, another guy, played 42 minutes. He would have played 37 without overtime, and he actually had a poor fantasy point per minute game for him. So yes, his price got bumped up to 6K, but if he's putting up, let's see, what's his fantasy point per minute here? Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez, 0.99. So basically a fantasy point per minute. He's putting up 37 minutes a game. On average, he's going to get you 37 points. He can definitely get you there at 6K. He's going to have probably more usage. Let's see what his usage rate in the last game was. It wasn't as high. I think a lot of his work kind of is done from Giannis driving and then kicking out to him. But he might have to be counted on for more offensive points in this game just because of Giannis. The whole Giannis leaves is quite a lot of points, so Brook might have to fill that. PJ Tucker at 4.9. We got a big game from PJ Tucker. Who'd have thought? PJ Tucker is going to put up a 40 fantasy point game. He's a like 6.6 fantasy point per minute guy. Took 10 shots in the last one. 4 for 7 on threes. He's taken 7 threes a game all series. In the Oklahoma City series too. So PJ Tucker's definitely a guy you can get to at 4.9. I think playoff PJ. He's a dude. He's gonna take those threes. He's getting you solid boards. So like, while it's weird to say, great defensive guy, he gets you blocks and steals. PJ Tucker's definitely an option, even at 4.9. I'll probably be getting to a lot of PJ Tucker. Jeff Green at 4K. He's not playing the minutes he was now that Westbrook's back, so I'd stay away from Jeff Green. Dwight Howard's only playing 11 minutes. They're kind of running small with Houston. So Dwight Howard's probably not the greatest option on today's slate. JaVale went out of the last game. He's listed questionable. Either way, I'd probably not get to JaVale at 3-2. He's going to play the start of the first quarter, and he's going to play the start of the third quarter, and that's the only run he gets. So if he goes off in those minutes, he could definitely get you there at a 3-2 price tag, but it's not a play you will be really excited about, and you probably only want to put him if you're playing max entries, maybe in 2 or 3 lineups. That kind of wraps it up. So my favorite play-up options today are Anthony Davis, who's got the power forward and center eligibility, which is nice. Bam Adebayo. I really like Bam, especially if Giannis doesn't play. What else did I say? I like some of the guards too. Dante DiVincenzo and George Hill if Giannis doesn't play, and Rajon Rondo. So those are probably my top 5 plays. I would rank them Davis, Rondo, DiVincenzo, Hill, and Bam Adebayo are my top 5 plays on tomorrow's slate. And we'll see how that turns out. I hope you guys can take this information, apply it to your way of thinking for today's slate, and maybe make your lineups better. Maybe I taught you something that you didn't know about the player, or gave some deeper insight into what you were thinking currently. So I hope you can take this information. If you liked it, if you're making money off this, you can subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I just started this. I'm not making any money, so I'm just doing it for fun. I know how valuable DFS information is. Like, I love free information. You don't have to pay big money to other sites to get it. So I'm always watching videos. So I hope you guys can take the same thing from this video that I take from other videos. Thanks, guys.